Hello and welcome on our channel. On our video today we'll talk about parental care and infant development, and as usual we have a lot of questions for today. You know that fertility is the ability of produce offspring. It can also describe the reproductive rate of individual organisms, and in general, in fact, in all animals produce more offspring, but not all offspring live a long life. So long life and also reproduce themselves. So it is a big problem, and it's the slide here on the slide are champions in terms of the number of offspring with one fertilization. It's if you want to watch the video, it's a long video. I just leave a link in description. Here we see this top 4 this animals, life organism. The lifespans of most sea stars is 3 to 5 years, but they can live up to 35 years old. And for sunfish, for example, they live for about 10 years, and while it's estimated that they can live up to 100 years in the wild. And it's only one fertility produce so much eggs. Do you remember we said that some animals have only one baby alive? It's very difficult to reproduce themselves. So next slide. Yes, they are champions, and it tells us that we can divide all animals into those who have high fertility and those who have low fertility. As you see, some African elephants only one calf every 2-4 years. It's animals with low fertility. And the number of offspring produced is often related to the amount of parental care. Typically, the higher fertility, the lower amount of time parents devote to caring for the offspring. Animals have limited amount of the energy they can use for reproduction and short lifetime. Animals with high fertility spend their energy in the production of many offspring that do not require much care. Alternatively, animals with low fertility produce few offspring and have more energy to care for those offspring. And the scale below shows the spectrum, the fertility of various white animals. And what animals we will study today? It's just insects. In general, many eggs, and plants or animals on which their offspring can feed when they hatch. We discuss about reptiles and of course amphibians, birds and mammals, but we have special term, special video about birds and mammals. In mammals in general, female give birth to a small number of young that are generally small and helpless at birth they serve. This is because mammals feed and protect their young until they can survive on their own. And females produce milk, lactate, that they feed to their young, nursing it, until the young can find and eat food on their own. And mammals provide a safe living space where they watch over young until they can survive out in the world, and there might be a nest or just a mother's protective pouch or just a central place in a protected herd. And mammals also teach their young techniques for finding food, escaping predators and something else, but the life of course is not so long like here, because you know that some wild animals live very short life, and it's a gestation period for some animals can take almost 2 years, more than 2 years almost. So here we see this comparative mortality levels for some animals. It's a very big problem for some wild animals, especially we present life tables by a single year of age and sex to group of animals and 42 individuals. You can just visit this site, and female survivorship significantly higher than male one. And if you want to know more, you just read the text here. But today we will look at all the groups of animals and see their offspring survival stages, and some take the number of offspring and other the quality of care for offspring, and while they are especially the furthest in each individual's case. But I want to say it, it can be seen on this slide that the expedition of animal species on the planet confirms that was said earlier. There are too few offspring to survive, and as you can see, no matter that strategy the animal chose, extinction is common, and here this is explained partners and special vulnerability to extinction is not uncommon in this process, not completely random, but influenced by determining process such as biotic interactions, environmental filtering, availability, and the species' biological characteristic. For example, here we see this risk can be heightened in animal species with small geographical range size, low local evidence, ecological specialization, and large body size, for example. And next slide, you see that the rates of many different animal species are alarming. Here it's almost all groups of animals and fishes, reptiles, birds and mammals too, and very important amphibians. Here we can visit this slide because it's a danger for all planet, and here we see the 87 animals that will be extinct by 15th years of this century, and even you can visit this slide. It's very dangerous, and by clicking on this link you will get information just to illustrate the degree of biodiversity loss they are facing. It's take your thought one scientific analysis. The period loss of species we are seeing in today is estimated by experts to be between 1,000 and 10,000 times higher than the natural extinction rate. And so here we see we won't see these animals in 30 years, and a number of factors that cause the extinction of species. Here we see this even the rise in sea levels led to a shift of shoreless, and the toxic and high level of CO2. And here we see this Amur leopard, Arabian leopard is very dangerous for these animals. And pay attention to longevity in nature. Some species have these leopards, how many years they live. Here with these leopards live only 12 years, and lions 15 years, and here they are possibly only 1 year longevity in years, only 1 year, and it takes about 2 weeks of gestation, but only 1 year alive. Pay attention to longevity in nature. Some species cannot live even half of their biological time, and it's very dangerous. Of course, it is a problem. Do you remember this slide from the previous topic? We have said that sexual reproduction is advantageous when the environment is rapidly changing, and now this is not a way out of the situation. Now it does not help. In these cases with these animals, as in the humans, artificial estimation can be used as a tool of increased conception to rate in animals that have fertility problems, sometimes can't give the birth, sometimes just breeders can go through a lot of effort to produce offspring from the spice demos. Sure, the breeding animals are chosen in performance and pedigree, but breeding soundness is also an important factor to consider. And here we see this slides. You can visit the very interesting facts for estimation of success stories about these animals and about some animals too. And I want to say that on our department we have the special subject veterinary medicine as a discipline that you can study on our department. I will leave links on the lectures, they will be in English, and the photo of our teachers and from the Institute of Cryobiology in Kharkov in Ukraine, and I hope you connect to our discipline here. We will talk more about how we can help now. Let's see how animals take care of their offspring and what happened with the little babies. It all depend on reproduction, of course, and you see the embryos of many animals developing eggs that can withstand hatch environments, and instead of secreting a shell around the embryo, many animals retain the embryo which develops inside the female. Here we see these kinds of inhibit parental care to ensure survival of offspring. It's the most important for and many different situation how we can take care the babies, and in each case we will discuss about this. Here we see even a fish built a nest for care offspring. Types of parental care. Animals show many different kinds of parental care, with taxonomic and ecological factors playing a major role in determining parental strategies. Within this, however, a number of broad forms of care can be recognized, and first as establishing and maintenance nests and burrows of territories, and here we see this in digger wasps and the fishes we discussed about. And since females often refuse to mate with males that do not possess appropriate constriction or territories, and all cases in this. And the second is production and provisioning of gametes, and here we see this not all animals can produce gametes very quickly, the production of well-provisioned gametes by females constitutes the main form of parental in many species, and gamete size is often directly related to offspring growth and survival. And so there are expectations that large eggs can sometimes take long to hatch, so incurring a greater risk of mortality, of course, and even allowing themselves to be eaten by the female, or even some animals eat not only female, but here we see some animals eat their moms. And other cannibalism facts, if you want to know more, you just can visit this site, but this in general, this example with the spiders, you know, always. And one more, care fertilized eggs. It can be very strange sometimes. Care fertilized eggs in a mouth, for example, like in this fish. But eggs by one or both parents is found across a wide range of taxonomic groups. Can many be necessary to guard against predator or brood parasitism, or to maintain appropriate environmental condition like temperature and oxygen levels, of course. And sometimes even the mouth is a good place for care the babies, like such in the mouth, in mouse brooding, and some amphibians it can be too. And if you see a horse, have special place in abdominal cavity, and of course in this case it is male brood pouch, male. So it's brood parasitism. We said about this, it's a very difficult question. Sometimes the cost of caring of offsprings is so exhausted that you want to shift this function to someone else. For example, like in this, some cuckoos, you know, these birds, and houses, some ducks do this just can to move their eggs in a nest of some species of birds, and even do mimicry of eggs. You see this a little bit bigger than other, but it's almost invisible in color. You see it's specific to particular hosts. And here we see this even in a mimicry of nesting, and little babies they can mimic with the visual mimicry, and even in special voices of these animals, of these birds, and even a color of the mouth. It's very strange in nature that this animal can mimic and what to do. Types of parental care, we continue, and the first care of offspring without provision. Some species care for young without further provision. This often takes the form of aggregation of offspring or lowering offspring to shelter beneath or cling to the body of one or other parent, and removal experiments in a range of species have shown that such parental guarding can be vital in reducing offspring mortality. And here we see this sometimes in these cases, in even cold-blooded animals they are carrying, and as you see in reptiles it can be, and it all depends on the type of embryo and neighbor. You will see the types of parental care with provisioning and without provisioning, and of course it depends on the embryo. In general, we have two kinds of embryos, and here we see this, all these types of parental care, provisioning of after hatching of birds, and until, and even the production of so-called drop milk, like in pigeons, a creamer, liquids from the special cells from the crop, and here we see this region of the pigeon milk. Like, and sometimes we just some fishes can provision of offspring from the secrets on from the skin of our body. So it depends on the type of embryo and newborn. Here we see two types of embryos. These two types ultrasoil and precocial embryons, and here we see the precocial embryons very quickly looks like adult animal, and ultrasoil embryons, it's a very long time can't be independent. So with the birds the same. Some birds very quickly do the same motion like an adult animal, and with little birds like parrots and even big one, pelicans, has ultrasoil embryons and very long time to care of these animals. But as usual, it's not so easy. Looks on the some animals on this slide. If you, as always, if you dig deeper, everything is not so simple. Not just two types of newborns, but completely different nervous system. In this case, as you see, different regions start to work quicker than in other animals, and it is a completely different nervous system and body control centers. As always, a link to the article for those who want know more neurobiological aspects of maternal and biochemical signals for domesticated animals. Here we see this ultrashell and semi-ultrashell animals. Is it just it takes a shorter time, to about 2 days even for respond to noises. So it's not, and in these cases of course it's very quickly, and all reflexes to 1 day, about some hours, and very quickly this animal can move with the mother. So we have one more very interesting slide with the mammals, monoterms, like in equiline animals, and in this case something else it can do. These mammals feed young with milk, but this young from the eggs, like in reptiles. We talk about this platypus, you know, in previous our practicals, and echidna, and one more with the kangaroo. Kangaroo, it's something strange, you know, this animal live in Australia, and opossum too, and in a cases koala and even a panda bear. It's very strange animals because the embryo develops internally, and then a major fetus crawls into mother's pouch, special bag, and where it attached to the mammary gland. And here we see this very little newborn kangaroo baby. It's something strange. It's very small. It's the size and lima bean. It is hairless and completely blind, but finds the strength of pull itself up its mother body and climb into the pouch in the back and found the milk in this. And if you want to know more, I even to give you the YouTube video how it happens. It's very strange, of course, but it's very interesting how this little baby moved to this back and to live a time. And not only kangaroo, you know, this even a panda bear looks like a little cat, but in the future it will be big bear. That's very interesting. And in a case of opossum, you will laugh, but it's not all. Look at this newborn babies. It's hard to compare with anything. And it's good when you have a bag, and if you don't have, like in a case of panda or thought kangaroo will live in a bag alone, and rarely two, but there is an example for a happy family of opossum. and a little video about this, how it's happened with these babies, and so quickly grows and looks on this video. It's very funny. So I don't tell later how difficult it is to raise children. Even dogs cope with this task. So we spent some time discussing the problem with a carry baby, and we are moving to the study of behavioral, parental behavioral. And the first this thing there is altruism. Of course, the models of parental care, it is absolutely the altruistic provider model, and mammals generally lose weight even during the lactation, sometimes dramatically even, and may undergo substantial physiological changes such as the hypertrophy of the liver or in the kidney, in the digestive tract. It's very important to give the food, very good food, for these animals. Like here we see this lose the weight in a swine. Here we see this from some time of lactation. Lactating swine nutrient is very important for all animals, of course, but these animals have a lot of babies, and here we can define the recommendation of feeding management of these animals. If you want to know more, you can find this. And we start to talk about parental care and different species. And first we talk about insects. We talked many times about the life of social insects, and I think you remember these examples from their life, but other species also show concern for offspring, as in mammals, and much depends on the development of the embryo. In nymph, for example, here we see this nest building and carrion, and here we see this nymph can appear from an egg, and it's practically an independent organism. Here we see just very small, but grow, and after 5 months it's just about. And of course it's take not so long time to carry out this nymph. In this case everything is more complicated. Here we see this more complicated circle, and much more dangerous. Of course it's take long time, and since in most stages of development, and even highlighted in blue, here we see the mobility is limited. It is impossible to escape from a predator. In this case there should be a lot of offspring, of course, and of course it is better to have a nest, make a nest, and we will discuss this soon. But if there is not nest, you need to take care of eggs without nesting. Here we see the parental care, but sometimes a lot of nesting, with solitary nesting, with the communal nesting, and nesting eggs are laid in a pre-extant or newly constructed structures to which their parents bring food supplies for the young. And here we see this type of live births. Sometimes even this case in insects called viviparity protect their inborn eggs until they have a chance to physically run and hide from predator and be quickly moving. And further, sometimes even the insects fathers take a protective role with their offspring, and male gained water bug holds the inborn eggs in his back until they are old enough to hatch out and carry. And here this is the case with these 2 examples. And even this, if this animal can be very even aggressive for protect the eggs, very aggressive. You can delegate care to another species, even like in this case just delegate for aunts, and aunts very good carry for their own babies and can carry of other insects too. And here we see this before laying eggs, thick ledger. There is a fair special liquid for attract the ants, and then just the ants carry the babies. And in this case, here we see this can create communal nests, live in a communis, like for larvas and even for adults, and do special channels for live babies like tunnels, and keep offspring where the larva feed on fungus, and difference by a male that guards a tunnel extern, this tunnel for example. Here communal nesting, one more example. For communal nesting, it's a nest shared among individuals, or as in the case of wasp, it's temporarily to share care with the male and then just leave this nest. And in these cases, wasps are generally amazing nest builders. You know, this nest can be very big, and here I want to show you this nest builders in the territory, in the different, like a social behavioral case. And this one more in a big nest where this some queens, even not one, like in bees, some queens can live all together. Nest building is a form of social behavior of wasp, and population may have a queen and several or single individuals may live. Also the nest can be just huge, like in some meters. In general, the nest can be of different shapes, so we will talk about nests today. This is a very common parental behavior, and after hatching, care does not stop. Of course, in this case, can be more longer than just, as you see, hood parenting doesn't stop after the eggs are hatched. And in this case, we keep offspring together, and sometimes feeding many insect species guard their young ones against predator by using some diffuse behavioral. And for example, here we just can too close in continuous in the form of protection. It can be just male and female constrict the guard the tunnel system or a nest to protect, and can to just close this tunnel, and in this case we just use the feeding for offspring, and sometimes most popular this trophic egg production. It's like the first thing you can do is leave something that looks like canned food, unfertilized eggs. These eggs will be eaten by the larvae after they hatch, but this is not cannibalism because it's just empty eggs without any embryo, and it's very funny, like this eat the eggs like a canned food, like just it's called trophic eggs. Insects often lay their eggs either in or near their host body. For example, here we see the food for babies, or if you need plant food, you just use some plant for feeding of offspring. Of course, protection of offspring may be different too, like a feeding and protection. It can poison to defend, like in this case, it protect mobile land, or just close the tunnel, like I said with some cases of previous special blocking head with the ants. Here we see this place on the head which just close the tunnel, and for my mother in this case, and just block the tree, or just position it himself on the base of the tree and intercept of predators in this case. And one more case in gardening yarn. And fishes move from insects to the fishes behavioral. Let's look at the parenting behavior and more organized animals. Of course, fish is more organized. And here we see these advantages of parental care in fishes. Like in all animals, survival, protection, contribute of reproductive fitness, increased growth rate and quality, and better development. And here we see this 77% shows no parental care in fishes, and care for egg only 17, and 6 care for egg and hatched young. So here we see this first parental care, if care is provided by father alone. In contrast of other animals, in fishes it's the males that usually provide care. Initially it was that higher rates of parenting associated with external fertilization in fishes, and so males took care of the babies, and male stick back bulbs and nest, and invites females to lay their eggs there. Like in a bird, something very. And forms of parental care in fishes, here a lot of information, but we take the most important, the diversity of parental care in fishes, and further deposition of eggs in suitable places. Of course, the nesting at first, but sometimes the place can be very strange, and deposition of eggs in a suitable place, and deposition stickly covering aquatic plants, and sometimes light in the pits, and even the shells of can be. And here we see deposition of eggs in stickly covering. Here we see this in a red colored. And here, and even if you know how it's look like this eggs in a big electronic microscope, it's I just want to show you how its surface look like. So move here, eggs carried over aquatic plants, and even in a laid in a pins, and sometimes in the eggs carried on the dead cells or beavers. And here we see the deposition of eggs into shelf-made nests. It's very interesting, like in the birds, and basin-like nest, circular nest, and foamy and whole, and floating nest, and can be. And here we see this basin-like nest, and sometimes circular nest. And here we see this on the first part of our practical, and here with this video, even like this fishes build this very beautiful nest and circular nest, just in a mood like here. And bubble nest, it's very interesting for aquarium fishes and paradise fishes too. And even I have the video too, you can watch this video how these fishes do this nest from a farming nest. And one more hole, just hole in the bottom of the sea, for example. And if you want to know more, you can read and watch the video. And barrel shard nest, here we see two, and different like in the birds. And what we have to do with the eggs in general. There is another way we can to produce egg capsule or attach the cephalic hook, special hook, eggs in intergumentary cups and cooling ground eggs. And one more, if you want to know how this look like, this eggs capsule, it's very often we can watch in, such as sharks and rays, and a little shark. In case of the hook, here we see this hook with the eggs in a special place in a body to a container for eggs, and sometimes even special cups on the body. Here we see these cups on the body. Take care always with these eggs and move with these eggs. And here we see this. The skin is the ventral surface. The special female becomes soft and spongely and during breeding season. And here we see this eggs. And just cooling around eggs and protect these eggs all time. And like in this case with the Thea horses, you know, this male carry eggs and carry youngs. And even a mouse, you see this case, but not with the young, with the eggs. And don't eat all time until the babies and eggs in the mouth, or long time. Sometimes the fishes use the viviparity, and we will have already seen this method of for sharks. And embryos develop inside of ovary. And this one is and can independently swimming young. No, it's not very often, only 6% can carry, but it can be 2. And we move on. Amphibious include frogs and salamanders, and they lay a large number of soft eggs in the water. Most amphibians do not watch over their eggs or keep them safe after the hatch. Only a few hatching survive, but usually some do survive. The large number of eggs produced is their successful reproductive behavior, but you know this. It's not very good because amphibians on the planet, so it's every year we lose some kinds of these animals common, and 18% salamanders and 6% of frogs can carry about offspring both parents. And here we see this, like in the previous one, all depend of circle of offspring, circle of development. And here we see these 3 kinds of amphibians. I just don't stop on this biology. And all modules or ways of parental care in amphibians, and of course the carrying eggs over the body it can be, and we will start from formation of the nests. Here this is selection, and eggs are laid under stones in stream, for example. It can be just do this circle around the eggs, and it's like active care and frothing of water, and some cases to protection by the nest. And here we see the 3 types of nests: mood nest, from nest, and tree nest. Here we see this mood nest. It's more easy to do, mood nest. And here we see this place in a mood, like a circle, of course, like in a fish, and female will construct the nest in the shallow waters of the pond, and male will dig a hole about 10 centimeters, and in this like huge protection for all eggs. Here we see this mood nest, and even how this frog do this mood nest you can find on YouTube video. It's very interesting how frogs do this nest. And the next form, the from nest, like a soap bubble. And even I have the video too how the frog do this nest. It's white color bubbles, but it is a frog nest, and very quickly. You can just have a link in YouTube and watch, not only in the water, on the trees too. The soap, here was a foam nest on a gray foam nest. 3 frog. It's kind of frog, and even more. Kind of 3 nest. It's a nest of some kinds of frog, and here we see this frog and glass frog, and the article about these frogs. You know, I always think that frogs eat insects, but I don't know that insects eat frogs. It's you see this just without one part of the body. So I don't know that insects eat frogs and destroy their nests. In this case, it's described here this glass frog. And if you want to know how it can be with in nature, it's very strange. Carrying eggs over the body. Of course, it is a way to move the eggs on the body, like in the fishes do, and to move carrying eggs over the body, like in a pipa frog. Here we see this animal. But this it's not only to keep in the eggs. This animal keep young, so it's kind of viviparity. I don't know viviparity, yes, but because it's embryon, just in the salamanders sometimes too. Just here we see the give birth of young one. The embryos develops on their uterus, can be some kind of frogs in salamanders. And almost in the finish of our practical for today, reptiles includes different kinds, and turtles and snakes, and they lay a large number of leathery legs and land buried the sand and soil or brush pile. And you know, the reptiles were strange animals too, because very old age of reptiles and the Mesozoic era, and only some of them, only 4 orders of reptiles survived from this time, and reproduction and parental care can be this way. It can be viviparity, oviparity, and oviparity, of course, eggs surrounded by them. And here we see these examples for reptiles. You know, almost all they have the eggs, but some of them have the, do you remember the previous practical where it can be parthenogenetically eggs, and can be internal fertilization and external development. Have this carrying of eggs in nests, and sometimes here we see this just care very long time, like in this case with a crocodile. And here we see this even after the fertilization, after the have baby births, and here we see again some animals can care a very long time, 2 years. For example, it can be in female alligator will guard the nest until the eggs hatch, and then provide some parental care 2 years. It's very, very interesting. So as usual, I will leave the links to all video and all articles which I use in this video, and your homework. It's new book, Animal Behavior, and you can just take the chapter 10 and pages in chapter mating and parental care. So I see you next time. Bye bye.